Hello everyone and welcome. Now let's complete the challenge that we talked on the last lesson. So here I'm in the project. I have already completed the previous steps, but if we say npm run check wallet balance, and here as you can see, I have already some token in the wallet. To be exact, I have 20 USDC in the wallet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this USDC to the same wallet just for the demonstration. Now let's say npm run initiate transaction. Here, as you can see, we have user token, encryption key, and the challenge ID inside this JSON. Now, I'm going to go to the previous project and I'm going to put these values. So I'm in the welcome to the wallet creation part. So I'm using this part because we are doing the same thing. Even though in the previous section, we have created a user-controlled wallet, and in this section, we are initiating a transaction. We are still using this structure of the challenges. So in both cases, we are going to need to complete the challenge. So to complete this challenge, I have all the information that I need, and I need the same information every time that I need to complete the challenge. I need the app ID, user token, encryption key, and challenge ID. As you remember, we just retrieved those user token, encryption key, and challenge ID. Now, I'm going to say verify challenge, and I'm going to put my password in. And when I say continue, now I'm going to say continue, and we are going to check the transaction on our console. Now, when we check the website, we are going to see that I have an outbound transfer and inbound transfer is from the same wallet and is for 1 USDC. And as you can see, the state is confirmed because we have put our PIN, and in just a minute, then it's going to get complete. Now, as you can see, I think it was just even under a minute. Now they are complete. The ideology is the same. Whenever we are trying to do something with user-controlled wallets, we need a permission from the user, and that's the idea of user-controlled wallets. This permission is the challenge. So every time user is going to complete the challenge, and we are going to need the data of app ID, encryption key, user token, and challenge ID. And now let's look at the code that actually created this challenge, because this code has been provided to us with a WebSDK, which is very convenient to use. So in the previous project, you can find this create wallet form.jsx under the components. Now let's look at how we make use of the WebSDK. First of all, we are going to install this using npm install, and then we are going to import this, as you can see. First, what we are going to do is we are going to initialize this WebSDK with a use effect. So once it's initialized, we are able to use this SDK, which is going to be this Web3 SDK. In this use state, we are actually getting the state from the local storage. It's more about front end. So if you know how to make use of local storage, then you won't have any problem. But if you are new, don't worry. The idea is that we are just going to retrieve this app ID, user token, encryption key, and challenge ID, and nothing more. Now, if we look how this actually works, we have this on submit button, and in this button, what we are going to do is we are going to call the SDK, and we are going to set app settings, and this is going to wait for a app ID parameter. So we are going to pass this app ID as a parameter application settings to set up this SDK, and then we are going to authenticate this SDK with a user token and an encryption key. If you remember, we called this user credentials. So we are going to authenticate it using the user credentials, user token, and encryption key. So far, we had 3 steps. We instantiated or initialized or created this Web3 SDK. Then we said, okay, let's set app settings and set authentication. We finished these steps. We are going to execute this SDK.execute, and we are going to pass the challenge ID. And as you can see, we are making use of app ID, user token, encryption key, and challenge ID. And that's why we were providing these parameters. And this is going to actually handle everything for us. You don't need to do anything special. If we have an error message, and we are handling this here, and if not, we are just returning a success. And as you can see, we are returning a result. We actually didn't do anything. We just called the SDK by passing the challenge ID, and it handled the process for us. If you look at the code, we have a couple of text fields. with app ID, user token, encryption key, and challenge ID. If you remember, that's what we were getting from the front end. And then we just have a button to verify the challenge. And for an on-click function, I have passed this on submit, which is this function. And as you can see, this is a relatively short function. But again, if we summarize the process, first you need to instantiate or initialize this SDK. After that, you are going to set app settings, and then you are going to authenticate this SDK. Now it can perform the challenge for you. What's next is just to execute this challenge. You can do this by saying SDK.execute. As you can see, this is not a very complicated process, and you already have the code. I suggest you to go there and work with this code a little bit, and then I think you are going to be more familiar, hence you are going to be more relaxed while using this SDK. Thank you very much for listening on this video. I hope it worked for you too, but if you have any problems, you can always ask to us. Thank you very much, and see you on the next one.